What's up, Knucklehead Nation? I am Tavia Tenpow. Across the screen from me is Michael Mook Mitchell Jr. Michael, how are you tonight?
Doing good. I'm doing good. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us and congratulations on your recent victory. The reason why we're here to talk about your victory in the super welterweight class in Fighters Rep.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
And I have to ask, just because I'm curious, but where does your nickname come from, Mook? Is that like a childhood name, or did tell me
Yeah,
about
it's,
that?
it's pretty much a childhood name. My mom, she called me that when I was a baby. It's black people got all kind of little weird nicknames. So my name is Mookie, and everybody called me Mook for short, and that's just been my nickname for my whole life.
I love it. I love that you kind of brought that into your fight career. That's super special. So I was
Yeah,
just curious. I was like, that's an interesting one. I haven't heard that one yet. Usually they're like all serious, like
I don't want to be like the destroyer or
yeah,
freaking, some crazy name. I just like Mook, it's my nickname
yeah. You want to be yourself. You want to be you.
for sure.
Well, the reason we have you here tonight, we want to talk about your recent victory. You're the newly crowned super welterweight champion. I believe it's 155. Is that correct? 155 pounds? Or
I
is
think
it
it's
154?
153,
Oh,
153.
153. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. A little lighter than I expected. Okay. So we're going to talk about that. But I also wanted to, give you a chance to kind of tell the Knucklehead Nation Fighters Rep fans all about yourself. I don't know too much about you. I know you're from California, but I'll go ahead and just give you the stage for a second. Tell me where you're from, where you grew up. Give me a little bit of background on Mitchell.
Well, I was born in Compton, but I was raised in San Bernardino, California. So I'm from the IE. Um, I got into martial arts young, like in middle school. I started with Taekwondo, but not really taking it serious. I was just doing it because my friends were doing it. When I got a little bit older, I started learning about Muay Thai. Not really training. There wasn't really any gyms around where I lived, but just um, becoming aware of it. You know what I mean? I've always been like a martial arts fan, big Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Muhammad Ali fan growing up. So I've always was into timing and balance and all that, but not really having any formal training until I got actually a little older. Um, I started jujitsu officially in 2017. I started Muay Thai in December of 2019, and I've only been competing since 2020. So yeah, it's been a short but like really deep journey so far. But I'm a really mellow guy, man. I don't like all the trash talk. I just like to train, show up, and just do my thing. Pretty simple guy. I'm a single father. Um, I help train my guys here, assistant coach. So that's pretty much my life.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can tell you're very resilient based on some of your after fight speeches, which I'll get into a little later. But let me ask, what was the delay as far as competition goes? Like, what took you so long to kind of take that next step with your excessive background in training? What do you think kind of held you back?
I was like more into music, I guess. It just wasn't a reality for me until actually COVID happened. Street beef started happening in my friend's backyard, so it's like right there. And I tried it out, and I started knocking dudes out. So I was like, holy crap, maybe I could actually do this thing. So I started taking my training a little more serious around that time. Um, so that's kind of what it was. I guess it just wasn't a reality for me. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes that happens. We train for so long, but we never take that next step. And then when you finally do, you're like, oh, okay, I probably, like I could actually do this. How old were you when you had your very first like in-ring competition?
Well, the very first street beef, I was like, what, 31? 31. So I've been competing like past my 30s. Like my whole fight career is like in my 30s. So that's just to tell everybody that it's never too late to, really go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's an inspiration because I think, we own a gym here in South Florida. And I think sometimes when people come in, they're not in their 20s. They just kind of assume it's like they can't do it. They can't take it further past the gym. And I'm like, no, that's like the opposite. I know plenty of people that started much later, their amateur careers, their pro careers. I think it's all about your mentality. How do you approach it? How do you approach your training? Sometimes you're not mentally ready to take it, but you're physically ready and vice versa. So that's
Yeah.
really awesome. That's definitely a big inspiration. And hey, it's inspiring me because I'm in my 30s and I don't fight.
That's right.
Don't
Like,
plan on
my,
it, but hey, you never know. It might pop off one day.
man, who knows? My coach believes it's more about, your shelf life. You know, it's like, yeah, you've been training for so long, you've been competing for so long, but you're banged up and your body's jacked up by the time you hit 30. Whereas I feel fresh. I don't feel like my age. You know, I feel really good for my age. You know, so yeah, I'm excited to just keep improving on my game and just getting better.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. I actually spoke with our champ here in the East Coast, Kevin Abdul. He's in his late 30s as well, and we said the same thing. I was like, you think it's good to start in your early 20s, but sometimes that actually debilitates you because if you get in too many tough fights, if you take too many hits, if the weight cuts are too extreme, you will not last into your 30s. And that 30s nowadays, that's not old, that's young for
No,
all of us, so we all
yeah,
keep ourselves in better shape, I think, than our parents and the generation
for
before. So
sure, for sure.
you're right, we have a longer shelf life. That's a really great way to explain it, so that's cool. So you're from Cali, you're out there at Engage Combat Training, which you're at right now, is that correct? You're out there in the
Yeah, yeah. Watching my guys spar and stuff.
Yeah, how's it looking? Any
Uh,
future champs?
we got a Anders Borg trying to get in there September, so hopefully he's the next one up from Engage. Yeah.
Nice, nice. And I like the shirt. I peeped the shirt. Fighters Rep shirt, rep in all day.
It's me being a company man.
Yeah, yeah. You hear that, George? You see this? You see what your welterweight champion's out here doing? He's repping your brand. He's pushing for you. I love it. I love that. That's exactly what we want to see. So, okay, so you're from Cali. You had martial arts training. You were interested in music, and then you kind of got your amateur career started. On the back end, and like we just said, that's not the biggest deal. So, how did you come about finding your gym, Engage Combat? Like, how did that kind of come up?
Well, at first I was training at another gym, and then COVID hit and shut everything down. So for a while I was training out of a guy's garage. He's fighting the UFC back in the day, Jonathan Wilson, and I was training out of his garage. And he actually trained me for that first street beef fight that was happening in my friend's backyard. So through street beefs, I met a guy, and he's like, "Hey man, come to my gym," and I was engaged, and I've been here ever since. I just like I like the vibe. I enjoy the family I've built here, or I've got here. And my coach, he doesn't really try to change my style too much. He just tries to, make my style work. Like he doesn't have like this set gospel way of doing things. It's kind of, it's friendly to my style. So I don't have a traditional Muay Thai background. I'm not full Taekwondo. I'm not the best boxer. I just put things together my way, and my coach helps me do that. So
Yeah, I love that. Who's your head coach over there?
Christopher Cutthroat Monzo.
Oh, okay. I have to give him a follow. That's pretty cool. Because, yeah, it's hard when you come in with different backgrounds, like training in multiple martial arts. Yeah, a lot of people kind of want to narrow you into their style so they can better coach you. But that's awesome that he kind of adjusts to your style and, gives you the freedom to be yourself. I think that ultimately makes the fighter better because it's so hard to change your style once you've established it. I mean, I tell the newbies in our gym, you're gonna find your style, when you're learning. Everything's new, but you'll find your style. You'll find what you like to do best, and then you kind of work off of that. Whether you're a counter fighter, whether you're an offensive fighter, a kicker, a puncher. So that's awesome. That's really cool. So getting into some of your fights, you're 5-0. Okay, you told me 3 kickboxing, 1 Muay Thai, and 1 MMA.
Yes.
So how do you feel, now that you're 5-0, you got this later start in your career as far as an amateur goes? Like, where's the wins coming from? Like, where's this motivation coming from? How did you get here to be undefeated?
I guess it's just my motivation comes from my family. I guess just trying to etch out a better existence for my family, and I don't always have the answers, so I just go super hard in the gym. It's not even that I don't have the answers. It's like I don't have the questions sometimes, and I just become a better person in the gym. The lessons I learned from martial arts are directly applicable to my outside life, so they kind of fuel each other. And I guess the record and the winning and all that is just a byproduct of that. It's not really the goal or what motivates me. I don't really care about being undefeated or all that other stuff. It's just I want to make sure I'm pushing myself to be as best I can be, in and out the ring. So that's kind of where it's coming from.
Yeah, a lifestyle for you. Absolutely. That's what it sounds like. And
So,
martial artists, that's the way of life. Like you said, some of your idols, Bruce Lee, all those old kung fu style fighters, they lived in the gym. They trained in the gym. Like that was their life. They lived and breathed it. And I feel like you have to do that in order to really excel in the sport and mature with it. Because yeah, at the end of the day, the trash talk is fun and that's all cool. But you gotta know that at any point you can be humbled in this sport. So that's
for
awesome.
sure, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't
What is
mind.
a typical, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't mind the whole trash talk thing as long as it's real, as long as it's authentic and it's not just for show. Some guys they just talk shit for the sake of talking shit. I mean, if you have real life beef, I believe that sometimes that makes the fight better. John Jones, Daniel Cormier is like a classic grudge match or whatever, and I think that their beef made it even better because it was real.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't mind the whole trash talk thing as long as it's genuine.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. No, you're right. Because I feel like nowadays everybody tries to do that. The Conor McGregor, oh, I'm going to
Yeah,
talk as much shit as I can to get to the top. And it's like half the time you're like, you can see right through that. These guys are just spewing out the craziest lines so that they can go viral and
yeah.
get some more attention. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the realness. Tell me about a little bit more about your gym though. What's like a typical training session? You're sitting here right now talking to me, but what is a typical engaged combat training session look like for you?
Um, our Mondays are our like spar days, so we really get it in on Monday. I mean, we spar pretty much every class like at the end, but Mondays are like our designated spar days where we really get it in. The rest of the week we're drilling. We're doing our bag drills, we're doing our technique drills and all that. And sometimes throughout the day, I'll do one-on-ones with coach pad sessions, or we'll go over technique or just work. Like for this camp specifically, we worked on power shots. Um, we felt like in my last few fights, I could set the shot up, but I'm not taking the shot. I'm not pulling the trigger. So we worked on pulling the trigger a lot more on this camp with hard power shots. We put a big emphasis on that. So we'll go over those things midday throughout the week, um, and then I'll do my strength and conditioning with another friend of mine, Chaz Lewis. He's an amazing athlete. So I'll do my sprints and my, plyo and calisthenics and all that good stuff with him. And just training throughout the week, man. Yes, it's structured, but it's also flexible,
Yeah.
so keep it fresh. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting, interesting. We're like the opposite. We do our sparring towards the end of the week. So it's interesting that you guys start on Monday. Like you come in and you just go for it. You want to get everybody amped up, ready to learn and work on things maybe that they didn't do in sparring on Monday.
For sure. Yeah.
And you're pretty solid 155. Like I watched, a few of your fights online, and I will say you have a really big frame. What's your weight cut like? Is it tough for you? Like, how have you been feeling trying to make 55? Because I don't feel like you don't walk around close to 55.
Well,
You
if
got
I'm
big
eating,
legs. You got big legs. I saw the quads.
well, if I'm eating like for this camp, I started off like 185, 186.
Yeah.
So I mean that was about 2 months, 2 months before the fight. Usually I walk around like 173 to 175 or whatever. Um, but now that I have this belt and that it's a little bit lower than what I usually fight. I usually fight at 55, but it's 53.
Oh, 53.
I'm keeping my weight closer, to like high 60s or whatever,
Yeah.
so I don't have to cut so much. But in this weight cut, I got to the weigh-ins and I had to cut one more pound because I was over. So I had
Yeah.
to put all my sweaty stuff on and run the parking lot for a little bit. That sucked, but I had to do it. So.
Yeah, I feel like it happens to everyone now and then. It's a scale thing too. I know my husband freaks out, especially when he travels. It's like you have to bring the scale with you, your own scale, because you never know where you're at, and you don't want to walk in the weigh-ins blind and be like, "Yeah, I'm there," and then you step on their scale and you're like a pound and a half over, like,
For
"Oh man,"
sure.
So
Yeah.
it can get really particular with the weigh-in. So I feel you, but yeah, you look great. You had the frame in there for sure. I saw the size difference, and I was like, wow, for 153, I thought it was 55. For 153, you were definitely solid in there. So I
Thank you.
expect a good reign for you as the fighters rep super welterweight. champion. So if
Thank
you're
you.
just joining us right now, we are live here with Michael Mook Mitchell Jr. He is your new super welterweight, 153-pound champion, 4 fighters rep, fighting out of California, taking on an East Coast guy in this one, which we'll get to in a second. But give him a follow on Instagram. What's your Instagram tag? It's Mook, right?
It's just Mook 89. JUSTMOOK 89. That's
There you
fine.
go. Give him a follow. He's working hard. He's training hard out there in California, getting ready to defend his title. We've got a few more shows for you this year. George has lined up both in Cali and in Florida. So I expect to see Michael back in the ring soon. So let's get into some of these fights because I watched your fight with OBrien and I thought that was a very dominant performance for you. But I want to start with this. In your after speech, you kind of talked about a slew of injuries that you've had leading into that fight. You were out for about a year. Can you tell me a little bit about that and what caused that 1 year layoff for you?
Yeah, I was having heart issues. I was having some crazy stuff going on with my heart. I was having high. I'm not a doctor, but they were saying like troponin levels were way too high, and then I was working out like crazy, pushing myself to like the limit, and it was just kind of my body just burning out, and me just having to adjust my training and adjust the things that I was doing, just get back healthy. But I was having a lot of heart issues, man. So I would get in here and my heart rate would spike, or all kind of stuff would be happening to me, and it just took me a while to really just get a hold on things. So, dieting and just taking care of myself a lot better. I'm not 25 anymore, so it was just a lot of things going on health wise. That's one of them. But yeah, it was a lot going on.
Wow, that's incredible because the heart is obviously a major organ. We need that, and yes, when you're doing this type of exercise, it's gonna spike. So for you to go through that, I would say as a young man, I mean, you're in your 30s, having some heart issues, that's always a little scary. So I commend you fully for getting back into the ring because I don't think people know how like mentally tough that is and how hard it is to kind of maybe realize, oh, I can't do what I want right now because my body is like telling me no. So what kept you motivated through that time, if you don't mind me asking, like through that, year out?
Honestly, this thing is it's addicting. You feel like the fear of missing out when you don't do this, when you know you should be doing something and you're just not able to do it. It just sucks. Like you just feel like you're not fulfilling your purpose, so you're not living your full life. And that's how I feel when I don't do this thing. So um, yeah, I just know that I have so much more work to do, and then that it's not over. That's not the end. That's not the end for me. I just got a whole lot more work to do, and that's what kept me going. And just feeling like mission incomplete. So
Yeah. Well, I'm even more of a fan of you now, knowing that because like I said, that's such a tough thing to come back from. And I see people all the time kind of, go through their health problems and it gets them out of the gym. And I know it's a big part of their life. So I commend you fully. I know that's a tough comeback. And hey, you're here. You did it. You came
yeah, for
back
sure.
and you got a belt, man. Like you're a
Yeah.
champion. How does that feel? How does getting the belt and the title make you feel now after all of that?
Um. So in the last interview I did with George and with Xavier, I said that at the beginning of the year that I would be a champion. I said that in January that this will be the year that I will be the champion. And again, I feel like it was an opportunity that I manifested. It was. I said it in the ring that the belt just represents a decision that I made, a physical manifestation of a decision that I made that I'm going to change my life and I'm going to do the things necessary to become a champion. So I had to become a champion before I became a champion. I had to do what it took to be a champion before the belt even came. So how I feel, I don't feel any different myself because I'm not doing anything different. I'm doing exactly what I've been doing. Um, but I am proud of the moment. My daughter, that was my first time my daughter and my mom came to my fight. And for the rest of her life, she will have a visual of her dad, like raising a belt, like just planted in her, whatever she does with it in her life, whatever. But, that's what really matters to me. But the whole prestige of being the champion and all that, man, if anything, I got to work harder now. I got to go even 10 times harder because I have the belt. So, um, yeah. I don't feel any different. I just know that I have a lot more work to do.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like half of what you just said should be on a t-shirt right now. We need to put it on the next Fighters Rep t-shirt, George. We need some of those quotes because I agree. Becoming a champion before you become a champion, like wow, what powerful words that is. Because it's tough, you know. Everybody's got stuff going on in their life, and then to get in the gym, train, compete at a high amateur level. I mean, that's not easy, you know. And you guys as amateurs don't get paid. Luckily, George is a great promoter and does ticket sale, you know, reimbursement,
Yeah,
and that's amazing because honestly, like most promotions don't do that, and you
yeah.
know, they kind of just expect the amateurs to show up and make the show because they need the experience. But you know, again, I have to commend you because it sounds like you're a very resilient, strong person. You're very positive. You've got this very positive, calm, confident vibe about you. So I
Thank
love
you.
that. I feel like you should come do like speeches. Like you need to be a motivational speaker because you're
Hey,
motivating me right now.
good man, good.
Yeah, let's show George commented. I think this is George here saying, "Let's go, champ." Yes, let's go. Let's go. I'm in your corner now, Mook, for sure. For sure.
That's right. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, okay, to get into these fights now. So, I watched the OBrien fight, and again, a very dominant performance for you. You're coming off of a layoff in that one. It was an interesting first round because I think you were both feeling each other out, but he did throw some nice knees that kind of got you against the ropes. But you came back with this beautiful hook. You kind of like bounced off the ropes and you landed this hook clean. His chin was up and he hits the canvas. I want to know, was that like, did you see that coming? Because like the way it happened, it was so fast and you hit him so clean. Like, what was going through your head when you got kneed into the ropes and now you're back here and you got to come back with something? Like, what were you thinking?
So in the lead up to the fight, I seen a few videos of him that he throws really good knees. So I was expecting the knees, and he actually landed them, even though I was expecting him. The second knee hit me into the ropes, and my plan was to throw punches as he was throwing the knees, but the second knee knocked me into the rope and like propelled me into him. So I got some help. But yeah, I landed that left hook, man. It was clean. I think the ropes helped out a lot. You know, I think he's seen it coming, but it was just so fast because of the ropes that he wasn't able to get out of the way in time and just crack them. And I don't think he fully recovered from that throughout the fight.
Yeah, yeah. It looked like he never fully got, like you said, his legs underneath him again. He did come back, I believe, in the third round. I feel like the second was all you. The third, he kind of came back as you slowly toward the very, very end of the round, kind of like slowed down a little bit because you know a
Yeah,
fight's
yeah,
over. You feel like you won. He did catch you with like a clean spinning back fist, but
yeah.
it didn't phase you, which I was like shocked by.
I think at that point I was like just head hunting. I was just really trying to hurt him and really trying to touch him, and I don't know. I just felt like in God mode at that point. Like like I got the star from Mario or something. Like nothing can
Oh
hurt
yeah, yeah, yeah. Level up, level
me.
up.
Yeah, which is not smart, but yeah, I kind of just started head hunting, and yeah, man, yeah, I got out of character there, and I was, honestly, with that fight, if I would have calmed down a bit, after the knockdown and picked my shots a lot better, I would have probably got him out of there. But I got a little excited, man. I knocked him down, and again, it was my first fight back in a while, so I was just really just throwing, and it's something I got to work on. Picking my shots better, man. I know I can deliver ridiculous power if I touch you, but just cleaning my boxing up a little bit has been something I'm working on as I'm going forward.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. I think you had the power advantage for sure. Like I said, for 153, you're a very stout man. Like you're very big. You can see it, you know, and 53 to 55, you know, you guys are typically big, but I think there's always like you can tell who's the bigger opponent. And I saw that in this fight that's coming that you just had with Xavier. So first of all, when you got the notice for the fight, like, hey, you're getting a title shot, you know, and we're flying this guy in from South Florida, like, what immediately went through your head?
I was again super excited and super grateful. But like I said in the beginning of the year, I said that this would happen, and I truly feel like I manifested the opportunity. I spoke it into the universe with courage, and it came true. So it's like me like saying this is gonna happen, and then when it happens, being surprised. It's like no, dude, like this is what you've been working for. This is what This is the reality. So it felt like a familiar feeling because I felt like I manifested, but I was excited and I'm super grateful.
Yeah, and it's always intimidating, I feel like, to fight someone else from like another state, the other side of the country. Like that's kind of a big deal because, I know in Cali you guys have a much bigger scene out there. George and I talk about it all the time. Like South Florida, when it comes to striking, is still growing. There's a lot of MMA gyms, there's a ton of jiu-jitsu schools, but like pure striking, Muay Thai, kickboxing, you don't see a ton in South Florida, in Florida in general. So we're working on it. We're working on it. But yeah, you guys definitely have the upper hand. I feel like when it comes to just competition available. Do you feel like that as an amateur out there? Like there's plenty of competition, or how has it been for you competing? As an amateur.
There's no shortage of people out here to beat up on. I mean, yeah, everybody wants to punch on each other. So I never really felt that. You know, when I got the opponent Xavier, I looked at it and it said that he had like over 20 fights. So this is like that was my third kickboxing match. So it's like I had to sign a paper that was like you're the less experienced opponent. So it was like a waiver, and I guess I didn't even know that was a thing. So yeah, man. I mean, I don't look at them as less experienced or less, whatever you said. Like, I just, every fight is different. Every opponent has something to watch out for, and it's just a matter of me managing myself as best I can. So I don't really worry too much about what's going on as far as competition and all that. It's always going to be a crazier fighter. Just got to make sure I'm doing my job.
Well, I can tell you that's a very professional mindset to have because that's exactly how my husband talks about his pro fights. Everybody's got a different style. I have to be able to go in there and provide a style myself that'll combat whatever they bring. So that's a great way to look at this because you're right. You're probably going to, especially now as a champion, you got a target on your back. People are going to come and they're going to want a shot at your title. So you're going to have to continue to level up and grow as a fighter. And I believe you know that. So I have no doubt that you can do that. But yeah, let's get into this Xavier fight. So I watched the fight. You looked ready. I will say you looked. I saw you in the corner, like you're just composed. You look ready to go in there and eat, basically. And he came out a little aggressive. I think he was trying to establish himself. Coming from Florida, once he knows you're the guy there, he's got to come in there and kind of establish himself. But then you found your range with these low kicks, and you said in your speech afterward that you just saw it. You saw him win. You saw the pain. Like, was that something you were drilling in camp, or like did that just kind of happen? Your low kicks just connected, and you were like, "I'm gonna go with this."
Well, in this camp, we really drilled power shots. So not everything, but we really focused on finding a power shot. So whether it's kicks or punches, we really wanted to earn our respect early. He came out. He was really busy or whatever, but this is my first 5-round fight, so I just kind of laid back a little bit and just try to get my timing and just, see what he was doing. He threw that side kick a lot. I've seen a few of his fights and a few of his sparring. He doesn't really check leg kicks. That was one thing. And he does a lot of blitzing. Like he'll bounce around on the outside a lot, and he'll blitz in with whatever punches or kicks or whatever. And he'll throw that side kick. That's like pretty much his game summed up. And he comes from that Sanda. I don't want to. Yeah.
No, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw a lot of times that he would catch a low kick and dump his opponent, which is not allowed in kickboxing. So my plan really was to land hard low kicks and get him to drop his hands and go high. But we never got to that point because the low kicks were enough.
Yeah, you definitely I felt those shots through the screen. I watched your fight a couple times and I was like, wow, you were whipping them. So I can definitely see, where he went down. And on the commentating, actually, they said at the end of the first, it probably should have been stopped because he could barely stand, which, you never, I guess, in a title fight want to count someone out. And again, they kind of pointed out, oh, he could switch to southpaw, which I know he can do. But yeah, I think your power, your legs were just too much for him. And, you really showed dominance. Like that is how you take a belt home. You obliterate the opponent basically, and you establish yourself as a champion. So congratulations on that. And, how'd that feel coming out of that, just getting your hand raised, getting the belt wrapped around? I know you manifested it, but what was that moment in real life like for you?
I was just trying to soak it in, I was trying to spot people in the audience and just really trying to seize the moment, you know what I mean? Just have those visuals and embedded in my head. really wanted to savor that moment. You know, that's something that me and my team worked for a long time. Um, my family's been going through a lot of stuff, and a lot of people came out for this fight. So I just wanted to inspire them and show them like what's what's like possible. You know, like if we just make a decision and really just have intention with what we do. So that's how I was feeling. I was feeling like, just trying to savor the moment, and my leg was hurting. I kicked the crap out. My leg's swollen right now, so I mean that I felt that. And other than that, man, it felt really good. Again, my mom and my daughter was in the crowd for the first time. Um, that's probably like my biggest takeaway from the whole night is that, because my mom, she can't bring herself to watch me fight. And my daughter, she's like 11 now, so I was like, she could start seeing these things.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
that's
that's
awesome.
how.
Yeah, that's all. I know plenty of moms that don't go. It's
Right.
hard. I saw a mom, I'll never forget a tournament. Poor thing. She's like hiding behind the pole watching her son go at it. I was like, I don't blame you. Like that's got to be the hardest thing to watch. So that's lovely. That's great. Yeah, I saw you had a great crowd there for you, and having that support, being in your kind of hometown area of California, that's got to be great. But listen, I think George is trying to set up this like East versus West Coast. So I don't know. You might have to come over our way. You might
Hey,
have to throw
that'll be
down.
cool, man. I've never been to Florida. I've never been to Florida. That'll be cool.
Yeah,
And
you gotta throw
I
down.
did want to say shout out to Xavier for making that flight, and I believe cutting weight on the plane.
Yeah.
I also know that he had some health issues too coming into this fight. So he's a super warrior for taking the fight, and even after the fight, when they were gonna raise our hands or raise my hand, he still like struck a pose. Like he struck a pose like a true martial artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like even though his legs busted, he still like carried himself like a respectable martial artist. So big respect to him for that.
Yeah, Xavier is great. He's our matchmaker in South Florida. Very familiar. He cross trains with us sometimes. So yeah, you're right. Absolute warrior for sure. And oh, he just popped in the chat too. Hold on. He just said thank you. So
For
yes,
sure.
Xavier, we hope to see you back in there as well. Yeah, never easy to go from coast to coast. Like I don't think people understand how hard of a trip that can be. I mean, we try to downplay it, but it really is like, it can take a toll on you, especially when you're cutting weight, the jet lag and everything. And I try to tell our guys that all the time. I'm like, look, you want to go around, you want to fly around, get flown out for fights, like you got to get used to that, but that is as close as it gets to the professional leagues. When you're fighting for these bigger organizations like One Championship or Glory or something, you got to go out of the country most of the time. You got to be
Oh
able to
yeah.
make weight, be professional, get all your gear there. I know so many times it's like we're packing, we're like, oh, we need all this gear, we need this, because you're not
Yeah.
in the comfort of your own home. So it's great preparation. And yeah, I hope you get to come to our side of the
Yeah.
country and throw down here in Broward. It's 954, but kind of like the 305.
I'm so down. I actually I did travel one time for a fight. Well, by plane, I went to Virginia, and I was for a street beast fight. I was for a
Wow.
backyard street. Yeah, so I do know about that jet lag, man. Because during that fight, I felt like complete trash.
Yeah.
So shout
Yeah.
out to him for doing that.
Xavier says 3 hours of sleep slept out there. Yeah, it's so true. Like the jet lag, especially when you're cutting, it's
Oh
a
yeah,
bad mix. It's like you're dehydrated, you're cutting, now you're in this like other time zone. Like what? And then I always hear that hotel beds are not comfortable. Like I'd rather be in my own bed. I don't want to sleep in a hotel bed. I'm like, you got to do it. You got to. This is for the fight. So, anyways, what can we expect to see from you? I'm gonna start calling you Michael Manifestation over here because
don't do me like
I feel
that.
like this is who you are. You're
Oh my
manifesting it, man.
god.
I like it, the triple M. But yeah, what can we expect to see from you? Now that you're the title holder, again, you're in your mid to late 30s. But what do you see on the horizon for yourself as far as fighting goes?
I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing, man. I'm gonna keep training my ass off, keep taking these fights, and the sky's the limit. Again, I feel like I'm doing God's work. I'm being pushed in a direction that it's not. I'm being pushed in a direction by something. I feel like I'm being moved by something. I'm not even religious or anything, but I just feel like I'm connected to something, man, that's just pushing me in a better direction in my life. So again, I'm gonna keep going in that direction. I'm gonna keep training my ass off, keep taking these fights, and try to keep improving my game. Um, there's first of all, let me say, Fighters Rep is the best organization, but there are some belts in other organizations that I'm looking at as well. So yeah, I'm excited to just keep getting better and keep working.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I will keep a close eye on your career. Like I said, I've become an even bigger fan getting here, sitting here talking with you. I really appreciate, the time that you've given us and the story. I think that's it's such a great inspiration for everyone. It's again, this sport, this martial arts, it helps us in so many ways, but like you said, when it's taken away from you, it almost makes you realize like, hey, I got to even go even more. I can't lose this thing. So, to hear your story, to see you come out on top as a champion, it really is moving. So I'm a new fan. I'll be following you closely. We've got another comment in here from Jason Granado. Hell yeah,
Hey,
Mook. So
that's, that's,
yeah.
that's, that's IE right there. That's IE. If y'all see me
Yeah.
throwing this up, I ain't from no gang. It's just IE, Inland Empire. So that's
Okay,
all. Yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah.
okay.
That's just
Is
repping
that
the
the
town.
oh, what is that?
It's just our town. It's just IE. It's like
Okay.
San Bernardino, Redlands, Rialto. It's all the cities where we from. Y'all got LA County. We got San Bernardino County. That's the Inland Empire. That's
I
IE.
gotta
So
I gotta get California educated. This is like,
yeah.
whoo, I'm so East
It's
Coast. None of
so
this is
after
like
my
hitting
fights,
with me.
I'll be throwing this up, and that's just IE. That's all it
I
is.
got you repping your hometown. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Well, listen, I was so nice to talk to you. I hope we see you back in the ring. We have 4 more shows for you guys this year. Georgia is not playing. He's got September 7th and November 23rd out in California. So I'm assuming you're probably going to be on one of those. I would hope you would be on one of those defending your belt. And then we've got September 21st and December 14th here in South Florida. Maybe you fly out to one of those. I don't know. I don't know
I
what
got
Georgia's cooking
options.
up.
I
Yeah,
got
you got
options.
options because he's trying to get this East versus West beef started again. So I'm like, I'm
Oh
here for
God.
it. But
All right.
I love it. I think it would help our guys immensely. Like you guys have so much talent out there. You've got so much competition. It's very different here in South Florida, which Georgia's kind of finding out. But I
Yeah.
think it would still be great. I think it would be a nice little like competition between the coasts and give everybody a good taste of is fighting nationally, fighting in your country versus just in
Yeah.
your state.
That
So
that sounds really cool, man. Like again, I've only have 3 kickboxing. I have 1 Muay Thai and 1 MMA. I'm still very young in the sport, and I have a lot to learn. So this is having the pool of competition extended across the country is super cool. It's the
yeah,
opportunity
and
for growth.
exactly. I feel like it's how you take the next step. Of course you want to be the best in your city, then the best in your state, but hey, you got to find out who the best of the best is. So you got to go find those people sometimes. So I appreciate George. He's doing a great job pushing the sport in both California and in South Florida. So I'd be excited to see you fight on either coast, either way. But yes, I would love to encourage you guys if you're watching this live, if you know Michael, if you want to follow his career, please join and support this channel. Everything that comes into the channel goes right back into the promotions. It's $9.99 a month. You get unlimited access to all of the interviews, all of the past fights, all of the next fights coming up. That's how you watch the streams. And yes, it will go all back to Fighters Rep. George is so dedicated to this promotion, to growing it, to giving these fighters a platform. So yeah, follow along, join the channel. Michael, thank you so much for coming on with me. I've had a great time getting to know you. Do you have any last words for the fans before we log off here?
Any last words? No. You'll see me soon. Keep working hard. Keep manifesting. And yeah, just be safe out there. I guess I don't know.
All right, Fighters Rep. That is your new super welterweight champion fighting out of San Bernardino, California, Michael Mook Mitchell Jr. Give him a follow on Instagram. Follow his career. He's going places. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you soon.